Bill come to order. Let's talk until they come in on 384 Osgood Street. And Rebecca, if you could just give us the story of what's in, what's out, where we are.
Yep, so the town of North Andover is seeking a site plan review special permit to make improvements to the public works facility by constructing a 7,100 square foot administration office building in front of the existing building and replacing the salt shed in the rear of the property with an 8,000 square foot structure. All stormwater review has been received and the plans have been updated. The ZBA, or at the ZBA hearing, the board continued the meeting until August 9th because they determined that the parking plan was inadequate to address the parking needs of the facility. The applicant has since provided a parking plan that provides a total of 31 parking spaces. The building inspector has deemed that it only requires 27. There are 10 proposed in the front, 2 of which are handicap spaces, and 3 on the side of the existing building, and 18 at the rear of the building. I have a parking plan to show you. So as you can see in the front, there's the 8 right there. Those are the 8 parking spots in the front with the 2 handicap parking spaces. And then over to the side of the building, you can see that there are 3 parking spaces. And then on the back of the building, there are 18 parking spaces.
Are they on the property or out of the public way, in what is technically the public way?
No, they're completely in the property. The public way is on the other side. Wayne Street's on the bottom side.
The other
Yes,
side.
I can zoom out. So Wayne Street's on the bottom side.
So we do have
We have a parking plan. The building commissioner has indicated 27 required, 31 parking spaces are shown off-site now on their property. And so that was the one fairly large piece I had outstanding. The zoning board of appeals requested a parking plan as well.
How do you get 31? As I remember, it was 8, 3, and...
So there's 10 in the
18?
front. It's
There's
8,
actually 10 because there's 2 handicap spaces
There's-
plus 8 regular spaces.
8, 3, and then
Fine.
18, and 2 handicap.
Okay. So if we have everything,
We have everything other than it's still open with the zoning board of appeals. And so they were not able to grant a side setback variance that was requested for both the proposed new addition to the building and the salt shed because they wanted to see a parking plan as well.
okay. So can we approve it conditions subject to them getting their variances?
The risk would be if anything to the plan changes based on the zoning board's review, that you then wouldn't see that plan over again. So.
Let me see that plan over.
So if they were to make some decision, they're reviewing the same plan.
If I may, Mr. Chair, there's nothing going to be changed because as you're well aware, the building can't go anywhere else. I have 2 wetlands on either side. It's the front, nope, too fast. Right there, nope. I mean, the building is situated right outside the 50-foot zone on either side. There's no moving the building. To move the building, the only place I can move the building is out in the front of the lot, which would get rid of the parking spaces, and it would no longer be an addition. It would be a standalone building, which we're not inclined to do. So this is the only place the building is going. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
So what does everybody think?
If the ZBA had seen this plan beforehand,
They've
Would
seen
it-
everything but the parking.
but if they had seen the parking beforehand,
Their only issue was with the parking. They have no issue with the setback.
Oh.
At least no issues were raised about the setback.
Right. So there wasn't a tremendous amount of discussion on setback and how each individual board member felt about that. It progressed to parking and...
Yeah, the only discussion was about parking. There were no residents there to complain about anything or to voice any concerns.
In addition to decision on just the parking, you're saying it's still open?
Well, they were questioning
No,
whether...
there was no parking plan, so they were questioning the need for parking.
And what they're done with their discussion about everything else?
They didn't discuss anything else.
No. They requested a parking plan and to be heard at the August 9th
Well,
meeting.
we don't have a decision here, right?
We do, I have drafted a decision, but again, my only point to it is There's still the variable of the ZBA's review of the
So
project.
the question ends up being whether we just wait till they vote or we vote it now, so.
Your meeting would be 1
pleasure?
week after theirs. So again, it would still be conditioned through the appeal period of the ZBA, but at least we'd know at least what they approved.
So,
When is their next meeting?
August 9th.
August 9th.
When is our next
The
meeting?
16th.
16th of
August.
Oh.
Oh, no, it's not your next meeting, but that would be the first meeting after theirs. And this is also before Conservation, and Jennifer Hughes has indicated she's waiting for the planning board to
yeah, but I
close.
mean, we don't always wait like with conservation, so.
No, they're actually
Yeah.
waiting for you, so.
So,
And again, if you wait till August 16th and they don't meet again for another 2 weeks, and it just is a domino effect.
No,
I mean, technically, I generally, if there's a variance involved, prefer to wait unless it's like a pro forma variance that clearly is a technical variance.
I asked council if there was any legality of them having to come out with their decision before you could, and there wasn't. So they can file concurrently. Again, the concern was if they were to change anything on the plan, you've already approved what you have. They
But we
might-
would just say we'd have to come back for modification if it came back to us. So.
And I am okay with that.
So, I mean, all things being equal, I don't think there's much more.
Okay.
I mean, I would just assume vote this thing and get it done with.
Okay, the only other piece
Assuming
of,
everybody else is okay with that.
is, and I spoke with Ray today, there may be a need for some directional signage out back, a do not enter sign, because there is one-way traffic around the proposed salt shed.
So we have no problem on the, as you see, it's a one-way around the salt shed because of the logistics of it. So down below, we have no problem putting a do not enter sign right where her cursor kind of squiggle it, so right where her cursor is. We have no problem putting a do not enter sign there.
So that sounds like a condition to put.
Yeah, we could add that condition, and
Yeah.
I just noticed that today, so I did not add that, but we could.
Yeah. Okay, why don't you pass them out, and while we do that, does somebody want to make a motion to close the
Yep.
public hearing?
Move we close the public hearing on 384 Osgood Street.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Actually, finding of fact number 1.
Yep.
Oh, 19,
Right,
excuse me.
so that,
Excuse me, I'm looking.
when it was first constructed, it was done through the ZBA as a special permit.
Yeah, no.
So on page 3, the stormwater piece of it was a significant part of the review. So from the initial plan for stormwater, there were a number of enhancements that were
What
worked through.
does Aldern bid portion mean?
That's going to be the salt shed. We're going to do it, but we're putting it outside of the base bid. So the work of demolishing the existing salt shed, building the new buying the new salt shed because it's a prefab building, and doing all the
Actually,
work.
I want, since
Sorry.
the hearing's closed.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I realized that after I started speaking.
So
Yeah.
the front page of the plan set actually has the base bid work is the front section, as Ray spoke to.
Somehow, let's make sure that in the decision, that's defined or something, because it's not intuitively obvious.
The finding of fact, add
Yeah, I
add the
mean,
two
if you're
sections.
using capital term alternative bid, define it someplace.
Okay.
Yeah.
On findings of fact, number 2, third sentence, in addition, does ZBA vote in favor of a grant? Should that be is reviewing?
Yes. Yes. I was anticipating that happening.
Yeah. On term 15, which talks about the variance prior to the start of work, a copy of it approved. What you ought to say is if there are any changes, they have to come, the town will have to come back to us if it's, any material changes.
Okay.
Would you add the alternate bid definition to the permit definitions, or?
I think in the finding of fact that it's going to be bid as a base bid with an additional alternate bid.
Are they going to have an independent monitor?
Yep.
Or
That's in there. On number 16, under prior to start of construction. So we do have to add a condition that the applicant work with the town planner to decide on directional signage. Is that-
I see it.
Just a question, offsite erosion, 10 days to cure, is that the normal time period?
I actually took that from the order of conditions that Jennifer has drafted.
Okay, she gives them that, she actually gives them 10 days
Yeah,
before she comes in?
surprising.
Really?
Yeah, I can confirm it.
I thought she gave them like
Yeah.
2 minutes.
That's much more strengthened than
Okay.
normally because of the sensitivity of this site, so
Yeah,
we do
okay.
not usually use that detail.
Okay.
But I can confirm.
That's fine, it coincides, I thought those would actually be quicker, but that's fine.
Okay, will somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan review for 384 Osgood Street, Public Works Building, the town of North Andover, as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Moving right along. So I think we're in a similar situation on this one.
Yes.
We've finished everything, so if you can just give us an overview and we'll jump right to the decision.
So we did finish review, however, late today, it was brought to my attention that there is still a possibility of nets relocating on the property. And so it is drafted in the decision as a finding of fact, what had been discussed during the hearing. And it was discussed, it was conditioned in here. So people received a draft decision today. The applicant had also received a draft decision.
Have we closed the public
Well,
hearing?
no, we did not post it because I'm talking. But we are prepared, unless you want to have any discussion related to that. Sorry. Okay, so I'm just reviewing my notes. That is the only item that did surface today. And so other than that, the decision was drafted, and you should have a copy of that.
But we have a condition in there, I read it this afternoon, that whatever they decide, if Ned's is going to stay on the premises, they have to come back before us, correct?
We have conditioned a decision related to nets, whether it's appropriate, that
Well, I
would
mean,
come up as part of the decision.
what we should do is we should say that if Nets is actually going to move, they have to come back. We can do it at any meeting and review it with the planning board, but we have to.
There is a condition to that effect, and again, should you get to the point of closing and reviewing the decision, if you want to strengthen that condition, or if it's okay as it is, that would be discussed at that time.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Is there something different than what, sorry, is this what went out this afternoon?
there was a slight revision to number 14 that was sent second, so there was one, and then with, I think, an hour and a half after that, there was a revision to the draft. And that's the hard copy that you do have today, and that was provided to the applicant as well.
With this decision too, well, we have a prior decision, how are we handling that? Is that the decision that's under a lawsuit appealing some of the conditions? How do we get rid of that one? We have 2 open decisions.
This does not condition anything. So with the pending litigation, do you have any thoughts on what the outcome of that would be?
Is that decision going to
If
remain
this-
open, that it's either or?
So we've been negotiating with town council. The chairman of the planning board has been involved in those discussions, and we have extended the hearing to, let's see, we asked for the 8th. I think the court gave us July 11th is our next hearing date, and I think our recommendation to the court at that time is that if the decision were rendered favorably this evening, we would report the case as settled with a NEC period, to allow the board to write, sign, file the decision, and allow the appeal period to expire. I believe that's where we left it with Attorney Urbalis
Which
2
would
weeks
say
ago.
that if we approve this decision, then the other litigation would go away.
Yeah, again, it's got to make it through the appeal period without any abutters appealing the decision and challenging it, which is why you do it with an EC, but we would report it to the court as settled on the 11th.
Is that what we've heard from Tom, from town council?
I haven't heard those dates from town council, but
Do you want me to look and see if I have the email from Tom?
No, that's okay, I
Okay.
just,
That's
you know, I
okay.
just, we
So we
just
can,
don't want to have that.
again, we can
hang
add
on.
that response as a finding of fact, that
Yeah,
we asked the question and that was the response as a finding of
okay,
fact.
that would be fine. I think that would be okay.
Appropriate?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So,
I
is-
would have to listen to the tape to get that language.
yeah, but we would
To edit that.
include that.
When I get back to my house later, I'll forward you the email exchange with Tom so that you have it, and you can see the language in it so that you can get maybe the exact terminology of how we're
That's
reporting
fine.
it to the
That's
court.
fine.
We had to report that to the judge, and then the judge responded back, and the judge is the one that booked us.
So will that decision, the original decision, go away, though?
At the end of the EC period, the original decision goes away.
Okay.
Because-
it's two different, yeah. There's-
Because what could happen is an abutter could show up and appeal this decision.
No, I understand that part,
So
right.
it would go away. It has like a sunset.
Right.
What
And
about the open meeting complaint?
that as well.
Same thing.
Same thing. So we don't, the lawsuit, the appeal is ours, and we report it to the court as settled. We file an agreement for judgment or an agreement to dismiss, and it's done. The open meeting law, we report back as satisfactorily resolved. Technically, the Attorney General can do whatever they want with it. It is not our case. I guess the best analogy would be like a criminal complaint. You don't own it, the state owns it, but we report it to them as satisfactorily resolved, and that's the language we worked out with Tom as well. So the hearing on Monday is 3:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, so assuming that there's no other information we need to take in, right? Why don't we close the public hearing?
Can we, having had the benefit of taking a look at this, could we give you our comments on a couple of the points?
If we've made an error, we would be willing to listen to it now, but if it's a disagreement about the scope of our conditions, we're not going to negotiate the decisions. We don't do that with any other applicant. Why would we do it here?
I don't know whether you would call it an error or a scope. In my mind, there are errors on the law.
I'll give you a chance to speak, but please be brief.
Okay. There were a couple of places in this decision where you call it a special permit, and as we went through before last time with town council, it technically is not a special permit. It is a site plan approval. You adopt standards that mirror the special permit standards, but it is not, as a matter of law, a special permit. Chapter 48, Section 9 does not allow site plan approvals as one of the list of things that you can issue a special permit for.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's in paragraph 46, we just wanted you to change it from a special permit to you could call it a site plan special permit or a plan approval, but it technically is not a special permit.
I think in other places in the decision, we have site plan.
So our bylaw requires site plan to be by special permit, and so,
It requires you to use that standard, but it technically isn't a special permit as a matter of law.
But the notice to decision, the first page, we have
Correct.
that language.
So if you use that language in 46, instead of just calling it a special permit in 46, we would be happy.
Okay.
special permit site plan
That's
review.
fine.
Site plan review special.
That's
That's
Permit.
fine.
And then the second one was with regard to nets. We're just coming to this and getting our arms around it right now.
What number is that?
Nets is 22.
22.
Thank you. Okay.
22 is,
Okay.
so,
There's one on 14.
yeah, that one is fine. In 22, you discussed having to come back before the planning board. I would say we have to come back before the town and, if applicable, the planning board, but we just don't know what it's going to look like yet. It is possible that we could put them in a space where we're doing no alteration of traffic. By way of example, and we're not in any way implying that the driving school is closing tomorrow, but if the driving school closed tomorrow and we put them where the driving school is, I would think that we could do that with a permit. We wouldn't need planning board approval.
I thought then we discussed the issue about the fields are right there.
We might have to come back.
So
My only comment is using the words "if applicable." Whatever the bylaw requires us to do, we're going to do. But I don't think that the planning board can vest authority in itself to render a decision over something if it doesn't have that authority vested in them. We recognize we're going to start with Gene and the new building inspector. We're going to give them what we believe to be a plan when and if we have one, and they're going to tell us, in order to get this plan approved, you can get a building permit or you can't, and this is what you need to do. But I think to say the planning board has to review and approve it is making a presumption that it is something that falls within the planning board's jurisdiction. And I think the proper wording is the town shall review, and to the extent applicable, the planning board.
Can we specify who should review it?
We don't know, and that's the whole, what if it was a zoning board of appeals issue? What if we decided we wanted a variance and we wanted to put them somewhere where it was a ZBA issue? It could be in front of the ZBA. So again, we're not saying we're not coming back, and in the meeting when you asked that question, we answered yes, we would come back before the town and take whatever steps we were required to take. I just don't want there to be, again, to the extent it's a ZBA approval because we need a variance, I don't want there to be a misconception that we have to go in front of ZBA and planning.
Here's what I would suggest we do. That the planning board be notified of any change, and that we get appropriate approval from anybody that's required for that change. I think that's fair, because if they do something that is not subject to special permit, that's fair enough. But if it is we deem it to be something
Right.
that is for a special permit, we will. But I think it's notification first step, and then they have to get proper approval as the second step.
I think
If-
that's
to the
fair,
ex-
but I think you should have to notify us.
Yeah, I think that's,
I think that's a compromise.
I think
Yeah.
that's
So I think,
reasonable.
because we're the primary town land use board, so it should come to us first, and then we'll go and we'll see if any permits are
So
required.
we'll give Gene notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my only concern is this parcel that we're dealing with today is the 125 some odd acre parcel, so the main one, and what was referred to as the ball fields or the auto school, if you were referring to in control auto school, that's a separate parcel, so that's,
That's okay.
okay.
That's okay.
Okay, that's
That's
all.
okay.
So they're
Okay.
probably making it applicable to us.
Yeah.
And that's- but that's why
fair
I-
enough.
that's why
Fair
the-
enough. We don't
Right.
know.
Exactly.
yet at this
So
point.
somewhat generic in
Yeah,
any location. I
Yeah.
do that. Okay.
Okay, so with that in mind, would somebody like to make a motion to close the public hearing for Osgood
Close
Solar?
the public hearing on 1600 Osgood Street.
Okay, for site plan review.
Site plan.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, let's,
In the first paragraph, middle, the parcel. Laura, I was a little unsure as to what the parcel referred to. Laura suggested locus would be a better.
We should define it below.
Which one do you want?
So on the first on page 2, the top paragraph, I think the parcel, it should be the locus.
After assessors map 34, parcel 17?
Yeah.
So in the
I see.
premises
So-
affected, or map and
Oh, I
lot
see
number?
what she's saying. She's saying it relates to parcel 17.
Right, and throughout it, you'll see that I do refer to locus, because that is a defined,
He was
Okay.
asking,
that's fine.
Right.
So throughout the permit, you will see the word locus and parcel, where I
Should we
deemed it.
capitalize parcel then?
parcel is,
No, then you have to define it, so.
Okay.
right.
So what if you just resolved it and in the first paragraph of permit definitions, you put the locus and then quote parcel, quote, so it's either or?
That is fine.
I already read it.
On the, I'm sorry, above permit definitions, where we reference section 8.3, 10.3, I am adding 10.3.1 to that as well,
Okay.
which is the criteria for approving a special permit.
You know, I had a question when I was reading this today, and this is just a husk. Do you attach all these letters and emails that you're referring to in there? Like when it says "see letter dated," is it attached to
They're in
the?
the, it's in the project file, it's not attached to the
It's
decision.
not, okay.
Right.
I was just
The
curious.
ones at the end.
I was
are
just
attached,
curious. It
yeah.
was the first time I've ever thought about it.
Well, this is probably, we haven't been doing that level of detail. It's actually not a bad thing to do because
Oh, no.
it documents your
I don't
findings.
know.
Yeah.
I was just curious. 'cause
Yeah, but no, but I mean, it's been relatively recently that we've been even making those references.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
I think it's good. I think
So we
it's
have a
good
record
thing.
retention software, and when we scan this project file, anything referenced in the decision is scanned into, it's approved by the state record retention system. So it's all online. We haven't gone back,
Works for
but
me.
going forward, we do that.
Works for me.
The one question I had was, I did not require an independent construction monitor for this project, but I could, so that's, it's open. I'm not quite sure what they'd monitor once it gets going.
Well, it could be the world's easiest job.
Could be the easiest.
But we always have one, so I think we should have one.
What do we,
Right.
all you have to do is clean
We
up that
always have
trench
one.
and the stormwater and repair that?
And the repair two catch basins and a 10-inch drain pipe,
And
connecting them.
I
not
think it's-
disturb
I
anything
think we
else.
need-
So
Yeah. I think
typically
if they-
they'd be looking at stockpiling, dust mitigation,
Right.
things like
She's
that.
good to it.
I would-
I think we should have an independent monitor. We do it on every project, and
Yeah.
this is no different.
Okay, so I'll put the standard language in, under special condition. Oh, I'm sorry, prior to the start of project work or construction.
You're showing me something.
And things like boilerplate, dust mitigation, stockpiling, I've left in, I don't foresee any, but should it be, if the need arise, then we'll have it conditioned.
asking under general conditions.
Yep.
If a dumpster is required. It says once the building is occupied, perhaps it might be after the project is completed,
Okay.
or as the project completes.
Yeah, again, boilerplate, but I see your point. There's not going to be an occupied building, so.
Boilerplate is good.
And again, my only other comment on number 46, because this project is somewhat unique at the very last sentence. For the purposes of this development, the developer shall be deemed to have undertaken substantial use or construction if the developer has begun any equipment installation or utility work associated with the project. Normally, that's site work or construction, so I modified that language slightly.
Okay, so would somebody like to make a motion to approve as amended?
Okay, so as a follow-up to that, once it's approved and I make the amendments, do you want, as a board, to review those amendments again, or make them and file it?
Well, then we'd have to wait till our next meeting.
So,
No, I would just, I
putting
think
it out.
I think they
they're
want
pretty
that.
minor, so just change the things and
just,
declare victory.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan review for 1600 Osgood Street, Osgood Solar LLC, as amended.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded by Dave. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Jean, do you, so when I report to the court on Monday for the NEC period, do you have a rough idea of when the signed decision will make it to the clerk? Because I got to give the court that time frame plus 30 days for an appeal.
I would expect by that. Go ahead, Clint. So
Hey, Laura.
But, oh, you think by Monday?
Patty Barfay over
Okay.
my
If you-
house.
I just have to review the
She's at your house
specific
now?
thing.
Yeah.
If you have it done by Monday and you send it to me, I'll send it to the judge in advance of the hearing and we'll enter
I gotta get
that
back
in.
out with
I will by Friday, and I'll let
Sunday night.
historicals know that.
Okay,
So
great,
I
thank you.
have
Yeah.
my daughter, her husband, baby, and my other daughter, so. So I'm gonna duck out if you guys don't mind,
Oh,
so.
what do we have? What do we have?
But John, you're okay July 26th if the board agrees to the date?
Yeah, I should.
I haven't covered it with them, but I just want to make sure before.
Yeah, for now.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
I
fine.
mean, unless
Something
somebody
happens.
tells me I have to go
Okay.
travel someplace then, so.
Okay, 1812 Turnpike Street. Rebecca?
Oh, you made it.
So the applicant has already received a site plan review special permit in order to raise an existing building and construct a 1.5-story, 5,000 square foot building for an automobile repair facility with an attached pizza and sub-restaurant. During this hearing, you guys had extensive discussions over the architectural style of the building. I wasn't here for that, but I did look at the minutes, and there was a lot of back and forth. The applicant has come forward with a different architectural style for the building, and before approving a building permit, we thought that we should bring that before the board so that you guys could approve based on some of the discussions that you previously had. So this is what we had approved. So there's the brick, and then there's the metal siding and the metal roofing.
And the color was to tie into the adjacent strip mall. And I cautioned the applicant and his developer that this was a big part of the decision, so I want to make sure that you guys
I
get to
should
see
never
this.
have mentioned a barn.
Yeah.
And this is the new proposal. There's vinyl siding at the top. There's masonry brick that replaced where the metal siding was, and because there's no longer going to be the metal siding, the roofing would now be the shingles for the top. And then there's a material change, and I guess there's going to be some, not brick, but brick veneer of some sort, which is a little different than the proposed material that was in the existing
So the colors would remain that light yellow.
Where's the north-south exposure elevation?
The south.
So that's from Turnpike Street,
Yes,
the
south
first one?
is-
Yeah.
okay, can you
Go back to
up the
Turnpike.
south one?
Yeah, that's the one that we,
No.
oh, one down.
Nope, down.
It's the top of that
Okay,
one.
stop.
Okay.
So sorry, what is that? That looks like subway tile? What material is that?
The middle,
Masoners.
Yeah, the middle.
it's a masonry brick.
Does the applicant want to come up here and?
It's,
What
State
size
your
is?
name for
Like
the-
red brick?
John Gressel. What we have is a split face block and brick with the asphalt roofing.
Okay, asphalt shingle,
Asphalt shingles on the roof.
okay.
Yes.
And then on the dormer, that's vinyl siding?
Yes.
Okay, and what color is that gonna be?
Well, whatever color you had picked out, I'm not privy on the colors.
With the,
Sure.
it was
Come on up.
tan, natural stone color, and siding above the block would match that as closely as possible, is what I was informed.
And then the larger blocks that are in white on the left and right, what size are those blocks and what are they made out of?
The cement blocks, 8 by 16. 8-inch.
Regular, ordinary?
No, they're a split face, so it's got some rough look to it.
Okay. And
What
then,
color are they, sorry?
It's going to, how do we do it?
you want to state your name?
George, I'm the owner.
Woman.
George Adala.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very good.
So basically, the old building that we got approved was metal building that looks, the panels, they're metal. It was so much dress up to it that we did so much changes to it that was costing so much money. Then we looked into a block building, which is a much better building, and it was cheaper. So we decided to keep the same color, same face, same construction, exactly everything the same, but instead of having metal, we're gonna go with the better looking blocks. And the brick stays the same, instead of having just the, with the waved walls, metal on the outside, it's just a metal building, it's a block building with the same colors that we decided that we're gonna pick, matching the plaza next door.
So it'll still be that cream yellowish color?
Yeah, it stays the same color that we approved before.
I'm sorry, and the brick veneer? So,
That's what we,
correct.
the same thing like before.
real brick,
Yes.
Yeah.
okay.
Other examples around town that you happen to know of that are similar to this rough face concrete brick?
Boy, I had all those pictures at one time, and there were some in the industrial area across from where Earthworks is
So
going.
you can visualize that, I can't, but
Okay.
you can, I assume, and this is, in your judgment, an improvement over the
I
metal?
think it's an improvement over a metal building, but
That's what it sounds like to me. It
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, asphalt
Yeah.
roof.
I know, you
Yeah,
don't have the,
definitely don't like metal, so it's.
Yeah.
and the asphalt roof as opposed to the metal roof.
And I,
Correct.
Is it better?
that's much better.
It sounds like it is to me, I just, I can't quite fully
So,
interpret the
so,
sketch.
I'm trying to think of, like a BJ's Wholesale Club has that type of block, right? Yes. Um,
The rough
So,
face.
yeah, a lot of the larger industrial-looking buildings. But-
Can we see the other? East,
So-
west,
From what, the original?
no, no,
Oh,
just
I'm
the
sorry.
other side. No, sorry.
This
The-
is Regina's
Just the
design
different
here.
views of that.
Maybe I've forgotten.
I don't know why the blocks, they're looking so rough, to be honest with you. In the picture, they have like black lines that separate them and all this. It's not supposed to be like this. It's supposed
Yeah,
to be
you're not
like-
gonna see that look.
Yeah,
It
it's
loo-
not-
it
it's
looks
gonna
like
be like
subway
that.
tile.
Yeah, I mean, from far away, it will look like a wall like this. A
Right,
smooth
okay.
wall, till you approach it, and then you can see separations.
So I was just, what is the, horizontal stripe part? I just am having trouble understanding the drawing.
It's vinyl siding.
That's fine.
So where the peak is, that's
Yeah.
vinyl siding.
That's actually the roof.
That's the
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Right, John?
No,
Yeah.
it's going
like
That's vinyl siding?
Ah,
Yeah.
Because that's a gable end.
Right.
The upper right hand.
Oh, right,
that's the roof. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
And then that's the
Yeah, no, that
masonry
looks good.
brick, and then the regular brick down there.
I'm good.
It's exactly the same.
Sorry,
as
can I see
before.
the east again? I'm just curious.
Say, this is a very hard building to envision.
That's really hard to
The four
visualize.
sides of it.
But you know, we thought this is a much better.
No,
building, and it's gonna be a lot more attractive on 115,
Mhm.
you know?
Good.
That's the intent.
Are you gonna have 3 different colors with the vinyl siding, then the block, then the brick? Or are you gonna try to keep the vinyl into the,
It's kind of
Block
looking exactly
side
like next
color.
door. Like, there's a
Okay.
plaza next door.
Mhm.
You know, we discussed it
well,
before.
I was
the
just thinking,
colors.
right here, it looks like there's 3 different colors, but I know it's just
Oh.
one
Well,
line
it's
drawing.
like different materials,
Yeah, I
so
know.
it's,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta distinguish. This is an
Before it was
actual,
too, right?
you know, it's not
It's
a
3 different.
rendering. A rendering, they will
We're
make it
try to
look
make
pretty,
them
you
as
know?
close as they could.
It's black and white.
Brick.
You know, the other pictures.
Yeah,
are
this is
colors.
the only elevation that's kind of hard to get an idea, but.
Any more questions?
No, I'm
Nope.
good.
Any concerns? Do you think we need to do a formal modification, since it was probably the largest sticking point in the decision, or should we?
The only reason I don't think so is we didn't reference the elevations in the decision,
Okay.
but I have them in the project file dated as final in the planning board meeting that they were final. So I can just add, again, the minutes from this meeting and the new final elevations. Because it's not in the decision, I don't think we need a formal.
Will someone make a motion to approve the?
It's just a discussion, I thought.
It-
I think we should to clarify it, the
Yeah.
records and.
I don't think it would hurt to have the motion, just, again, it was a focal point of the hearing, and
Someone wants to make a motion to approve the, are the plans dated, these plans, Rebecca?
These plans are dated
July
July 5th.
The revised facade plans for July 5th, 2016 for the 1812 Turnpike Street.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
thank you.
And then we just have 2 housekeeping items before we review the minutes. One of them being that we have only 1 meeting scheduled in September. Originally, there was a conflict with the state primary, however, that has been moved. So we were wondering if the board would like to hold a second hearing in September. We currently have a date for the
Was September?
8th. Or, so no, the 8th was the conflict.
Yeah, so September 6th, there is a meeting scheduled, and the 20th, there was not, right?
Yes.
And so because we had, last year, at the time, we thought there'd be an election on September 20th. I just asked Joyce if that was still the case, and it is not, has moved. So, right now, we are expecting a couple of applications between now and then.
Well, the only reason we didn't have a meeting is because we thought there was a vote, and now there isn't. We should have a meeting.
Agreed.
Okay, so
So-
we will add that to the calendar, September 20th.
And then the other item is that the legal ad deadline for,
It's not an extra. It's a regular. It's not an extra.
This one's important.
the legal ad deadline for 1210 Osgood for the Forgetta Development property. That was due in the paper, the Tribune today. It was not posted. The applicant has recognized that they did not post it in a timely fashion, and the applicant's attorney, John Smolak, has contacted the office to ask the board to call for a special meeting on July 26th so that they can get the adequate public notice and have a meeting in July.
Or alternatively, to move the 19th meeting to the 26th. So he can,
Really?
What else
Yes.
is likely to come up?
we do not have any other applications filed to open on the 19th right now. So his was intended to open on the 19th. The ad would have run today and the 12th, and the hearing opened on the 19th. It did not run. So he could get the ad in the paper for the 12th and 19th to open on the 26th. We do not have a meeting the first Tuesday in August because of National Night Out. So the next meeting, other than the 19th of July, would be the 16th of August. And so he's asked for your
So we
consideration.
wouldn't have the 19th meeting, because we wouldn't have anything on the agenda
Right.
anyways.
Just,
Right now, we do not. So whether somebody came in for a bond release or an A&R or
Okay,
something
yeah.
to that,
But we would probably, if
We
it
would
was just
let-
a bond release, I don't think we'd have a meeting for.
I mean, if we could get a quorum in,
Well, but
Was John was okay with moving it?
why don't we just move from the 19th to the 26th? Why
That-
have a second?
I just think it's going to depend on, I mean, I think you should do it. I have no idea when I'm going to be away at
Okay.
this point.
It's really,
I am.
So, yeah, I mean, to be honest, he had initially, he could get the ad in on Thursday, and he was contemplating moving it from the 19th to the 21st, but his team has conflicts with vacation too, so the 26th, understanding that he acknowledged board members may be on vacation as well. John indicated that he thinks he'll be here. I think
well, if we move it to the 26th and
There's
there's
a
not
shot.
enough, then it's not enough. I mean,
Right.
that's all we can do.
Right.
Because we did,
Okay.
National Night Out is still the 2nd?
as far as I'm aware.
So the only meeting in August is the 16th?
Right.
Is that what we're saying?
Okay.
Okay. Got it?
I have an item. Are we able to make any progress towards drafting the second watershed mailer, which we had previously talked about would be for properties along the lake and adjacent to tributaries?
I have not.
Is that something that we can?
We definitely
Be
can.
working on?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
that's it. Still an interest in doing that.
Yep, no question.
Great.
I do too.
Anyone read the minutes?
Yes?
The tree removal protocol, should we table that? based on-
Yes, so I think, I don't know if it was communicated, but although it was linked to the agenda, I have not reviewed it yet. Peter did offer to make a pass at it, so we did send it to Peter as well.
I think you need to have the second mailer go out before you issue that, because if that were to just appear without some notification for the tributaries.
So,
We can still work on it.
yeah.
Yeah, we can
let's do
work on
some
it.
more.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
fine.
Good.
Yep.
Meeting minutes. June 7th.
I'm fine. They've been revised.
Anybody else?
They look good.
Someone would like to make a motion?
Motion to approve June 7 meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay. June 21st. Anybody?
They look okay to me, I don't know. Like the minutes.
I take it that's a motion to accept, right?
Yes, I make a motion to accept the June 21st minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Looks like Jean's the one that spoke the most in that one.
She what?
So it looks like Jean's the one that spoke the most in that meeting.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.